Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Barrier Breach. Recently I've been going out of bounds in some puppet combo games, and I figured it was about time we got to Night Ripper since so many of you have been asking for it. This game is one of my personal favorites, so being able to explore this was really interesting for me. As always, hope you all enjoy. So Night Ripper's intro isn't too special, but I still love the fact that it takes place on the map itself and it wasn't just some 2D menu screen. Every time I boot up Night Ripper, I never really take the time to pause and think about where exactly on the map this intro is. Removing the PSX filter and increasing the brightness allows us to finally get a clear view of what's going on around us. To be fair, all the camera filters and text on the screen make it hard to figure that out, but this little intro camera is placed right here in front of the gas pumps near the end of the game. Okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's begin this barrier breach at the very beginning of the game, which as you can see is not too far off. The first really cool thing I want to show you all is the fact that there are actually two diners. But Blind, why are they two diners? You can see how the diner placed out of bounds is actually the one we spawn in at the very beginning of the game. This diner has a fully rendered interior and glass windows that allow us to view the outside. Here is our boy Butch in beautiful high resolution. I know you all are very familiar with this interior, but I just wanted to show you all how this building is separate from the one we come out of when leaving. Here you can see just how close both of these diners are to each other, and I wonder why Puppet Combo didn't just use the fully rendered one. You know what? Now that I think about it, the whole aesthetic and art style for the Night Ripper is supposed to be old PS1 retro style games, so I see why a second model for the diner was made to fit in with the other buildings. Moving on to the streets, there's not really much to show, to be honest, but I thought maybe some of you still wanted to see them from different angles. Once we cross the gate and enter the back streets, we come to our first encounter with the Night Ripper. I always wondered where he came from, and luckily I was able to catch him spawning in from just around the corner. Just like with the Nun Massacre and Stay Out of the House barrier breaches, I'm going to follow the Night Ripper around and show you all his AI and where he goes while patrolling the map. Here's how it looks like from up above, and now it's much easier to visualize the layout of this part of the game. One thing I noticed instantly is that the Night Ripper only patrols the area that the player is in. If you don't know what I mean, pay attention to how the Night Ripper only goes around in circles in this area and never crosses over to the right where the motel is. Here I cut to a part where I placed myself in the motel, and you can see how that now the Night Ripper begins to patrol the right side of the area instead, and doesn't go to the left side at all. Next time you all play this game, just know that the Night Ripper isn't too far off from you no matter where you are in the city. Finally, we make it to the crack den, where we can observe the Night Ripper and see where he goes off screen. This whole area is pretty small and short, so there's not much to show off as let's say Nun Massacre, and I thought you'd all still appreciate viewing the Night Ripper patrolling the crack den. So as expected, the Night Ripper pretty much goes all throughout the den, monitoring each floor and going different paths at random. One time I saw the Night Ripper enter the maze, but only for a short while. And then another time, he went all the way to the exit door, which is very scary to think about. I always thought I was safe over there, but he can totally still trap you if you had bad RNG. This part of the game is easily one of the most intense sections, so finally getting able to view the Night Ripper do his thing without having to worry about being attacked and scared felt oddly fun and educational. It's kind of funny just following him around while he has no clue, but it also gives us a look into his AI. Again, it's not as complicated as the Butchers, but there's not much else for him to do besides try and find you. Still pretty cool nonetheless. So here we make it to the rooftops, and this section is going to be pretty short because there's not much to show off. Here we have this beautiful water barrel or oil rig or something. Here's the path we take along the rooftops to make it to the next part. So one thing I never really paid attention to while completing this part of the game was the outside environment and buildings. I guess it was because I was so focused on trying to balance on the planks and make it across that I never really took the time to look down at the ground. There's honestly not that much since we never come down here, but it's areas like this that add to the world and make it feel a lot more depthful. Something that I really loved about old games is when developers had to use flat 2D images with a brightened hue over it to represent a window. Most AAA games nowadays might actually have a small rendered interior, but I like the old way as it adds a lot of mystery. I love how they chose red as the color too, since it adds a lot to the overall aesthetic of the game. This ground area reminds me a lot of Gmod for some reason. Next we have the subway tunnel section, and there's actually not much to show here either. The only thing worth showing is this bathroom section where the secret gun is located, but besides that, that's pretty much it. This part of the game is very straightforward and linear, and is the only part to be placed outside of the map and away from everything else. I really like how everything on this map feels connected, even if it's not directly. You can see how in the last section, the door to enter the tunnels was not too far off from the actual beginning of that level. Same goes for here as well. The exit from this tunnel is not too far off from where we get off at. As expected, here's just another camera trick which used the skyline texture to hide away the subway environment just behind it. Finally, here's how it all looks like from a distance. At last, we make it to the last section of the game, which is the slums. So there's quite a few buildings we can explore really quickly before the end of the video. These buildings are the only areas where the Night Ripper can spawn in during this last section of the game, so I figured we'd get more footage of the Night Ripper in all of his glory. I'll just shut up and let you watch. So something really interesting I found has to do with this worker we find out on the streets. I'm sure, as you all know, just shortly after talking to this woman, she actually gets taken by the Night Ripper, which can cause us to see an animation of her falling from the sky onto the floor. For the absolute longest, I only thought you can get this animation to happen just outside this building in the corner of the map. But as it turns out, there's more than one area where you can get this to happen. Everyone's gameplay I've seen, and even in my own, I only got this cutscene at that house I showed you all. So I was shocked to get them in other places as well. I got one here, and here. When I was messing around with some settings, I was able to spawn a dev room just out of bounds away from the playable map. In this room, there's a model of a girl from what I believe to be Buzzsaw Bloodhouse, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure what she's doing here, but it isn't uncommon for assets from other games to be found in new games made by the same game developer. There's a rusty tub, a piggy bank, a safe, and then a green cube with some anxiety pills attached to the side of it. Really weird room, but I love seeing things like this. It's always so fun knowing that these things are always here all along, but just hidden to the player. Along the same vein, we have a floating plane titled Furniture Creator. If it wasn't obvious, this little floating platform was used to place and create models to then be implemented into the map. This is likely just left over and was used for Puppet Combo to come in and have a selection of different types of furniture to pick out of. Finally, the last out of bounds thing I wanted to show you all was where the train comes from during this last section of the game. So there's actually a model placed all the way in the corner of the map ready to go. But for some reason, the actual train uses a different model and is slightly different texture wise. I'm not sure if the train was set here as a placeholder and forgot to be removed, or if it's actually needed for gameplay, but I found that pretty funny. Before we get to the last cutscene, I just wanted to show you all the entirety of the Night Ripper but without all of the buildings. It seems like a pretty weird thing to do when wanting to show off an environment, but I thought showing you the map in this state really gives you insight into the layout of the map and sort of how everything connects. The buildings block a lot of line of sight, so it can be pretty easy to get lost, but when you remove the buildings, you can truly see just how small and contained everything is, as well as just how simple the actual environment is. The textures, lighting, and camera filters all do a tremendous job of setting up the vibe for the game. Finally, we make it to the last part of this barrier breach, and it's of course the end cutscene, which we get right after beating the game. I know there's not much to show off, but I love little models like this. You can actually see that there's another cube not too far off from the end room, and there's a Night Ripper in it as well. This Ripper model is always here no matter what, so I don't think this was used as a placeholder. But either way, I love finding random models hidden outside or underneath the map. The only thing in Rachel's room is this sofa, a poster, a cabinet, and a TV on top of it. Our girl Rachel is literally just chilling. Alright guys, I actually wanted to come back and show you all some things that I missed initially when recording. The first thing I wanted to show you is this sign right here. I don't know why they removed this. Like, this is so cool. Look at this. Dude, this sign looks so fire. I literally have no idea why it's not in the game. They should have at least kept it. Alright, another really cool thing, I don't know how I missed this, is that there's actually another train track right here. This is where the part where we, go on the rooftops and stuff. But look, there's another train that was supposed to be here. This is so cool. Look at that. Where does it stop? Oh, it stops right there. So yeah, guys, this is where we get to the rooftops. There's supposed to be another train going through here. Okay, so this is how it would look like if you were bouncing on here. Look at that. Oh my god. That's actually so cool. Now, I don't know why they didn't add this, because this would have been actually so awesome, but I guess they didn't have a place to like kind of stop the train. As you can see, it was heading straight towards this section of the game, but maybe it could have went overhead, I don't know, and like connected all the way over here. It probably could have connected all the way through here. Okay, so the last cool thing that I found were these like death scenes. I'm gonna play one right here. Look at this. What the hell? Here's another one. Like, oh my god, these are brutal. Yo! I don't know why these are in Night Ripper. I literally have no idea why. Do we have another one? Okay, what happens in this one? Oh my god, look at this. Yeah, this has to be for Babysitter Bloodbath. There's no way. Alright everyone, that's going to conclude this barrier breach of the Night Ripper. As I mentioned earlier, this game is one of my favorites from Puppet Combo, and I was really excited going into this. It's way more of a simple game compared to others that I've showed you already, but it still deserved a deeper dive, and I hope you all enjoyed this. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for 10k subs. We just hit it and it's honestly so unreal to me. I will make a dedicated video, but for now, thank you all so much and I'm so grateful for all of you. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.